my story of how I moved from Russia to New Zealand on my own at the age of 15. With a little bit of luck, great support from my parents, and a lot of hard work, I made it to New Zealand and I've been living happily here for the past 12 years. I'll share the difficulties and the challenges I had to overcome when I first moved to New Zealand and how they've helped me to grow into independent and a strong woman I am today. My name is Veronica Adali. I'm a CEO of a modest activewear brand, Fifth Generation Apparel, a content creator and photographer. I've been through the trenches of entrepreneurship and now I'm sharing my story. I'm here to empower and help you work towards your dreams. Whether that means becoming a successful entrepreneur, up-leveling your mindset, or creating impactful content online. I create educational and motivational videos full of practical advice for women who are ready to have more control over their lives and are looking to follow their true passion. If you're ready to learn, get inspired, then listen up, my friend. Let's talk about why I decided to move at such a young age in the first place. I started learning English at a very young age. I was about 5 or 6 years old when I started getting regular English lessons. My mom is a smart woman, mashallah. She is very smart and she thought that me having English as a second language would be very beneficial for me. And she was right. At around the age of 12, I've developed a fascination with the English language. I started to look forward to my lessons. I started watching different shows in English. I started listening to English songs, breaking them down and really trying to understand the meaning behind the song. I started reading books in English and it all happened with my initiative. I was the one fascinated by English language. I've actually had a friend who was a bit older than me and she was getting ready to move to the UK. She was more like my mom's friend, but she was getting ready to move to the UK and I was really excited for her and would always talk about how I would grow up a bit and I could go and join her in the UK. So even at the young age of 12, that's considered pretty young still, I really started to prepare myself that I wanted to study overseas if it was in the cards. I've been dreaming about it and it was one of my goals even back then. Then fast forward to year 10 in Russia. I was 15. I just turned 15 when I started year 10. And that's when I started experiencing some major friction with my teachers. Even before that, I was continuously bullied by my teachers. I don't have a great experience when it comes to public school system in Russia. And around that time, the situation got much worse. I was too outspoken. I questioned their methods and they didn't like it. So in order for them to stop me from questioning their authority and their methods, they kind of grouped together and started bullying me. From little mean comments to summoning my parents to school and telling them lies about me, they were actually doing that. And I'll give you a couple of examples. I was openly told that I was too blonde for physics. I was told by my teachers that I am only good for marrying a millionaire and living my life that way, like I have nothing to offer. I was told that I have no personality and I wouldn't amount to anything. Things like that. That's pretty harsh. Saying things like that to a kid who is just trying to figure themselves out and find out what they're passionate about and trying to get an education, that's uncalled for, right? Anyways, my mom always nurtured my confidence, so I'm really grateful for that. Whenever she'd, get called in to school, like should show up, she would always take my side because she could see what's what. But those troubles in school, they became the catalyst to us starting to think about what would be the next step in my education. And I've always wanted to study overseas, so my mom and I kind of formed an alliance there and started seriously considering it. We started looking at different countries, and mom actually had friends who sent their daughter to study in Canada. So naturally, we started considering Canada, and I was so excited about going to Canada. We tried, we gathered all the documents, we did everything through the agency, and it didn't work out once. They rejected my visa application. Then we gathered everything again and tried to do it again, and they rejected it for the second time. I was heartbroken. I thought that my dreams and goals were all shattered, that I would never leave, and that I was really excited. And when it didn't work out, it hurt. I was very upset. And that's when also things at school got pretty bad. And I was very frustrated with everything that was happening. Actually, that year, it got so bad, I got sick about 5 or 6 times that year, just because I was so stressed out. But we decided that we were gonna still try and consider other options. We looked at the UK, at the US, at Australia, and New Zealand. UK and US were just out of our price range. Very, very expensive. Australia or New Zealand were both reasonable. The deciding factor was Australia has poisonous snakes and spiders and sharks. No, thank you. So that's how I chose New Zealand. So we gathered all of the documents once again through the agency. In the meantime, I was focusing on my English, on my studies. I literally just focused on my English. I didn't care about any other subject in school. And the teachers, of course, were pretty shocked by that. But my English teacher was super thrilled though. Anyways, we gathered all the documents and we applied for the visa. I did the English test, and 3 weeks later, I got the visa. That was one of the happiest days of my entire life. I was so happy. I was so ready to go, even though I didn't quite realize what was, ahead, that I would have to go to a foreign country. And have you guys seen where New Zealand is on the map? Very, very far away. But I was so excited. I didn't think about those logistical things. I was excited that I was getting closer to living my dream. As soon as my visa came through, my parents told me, "You're not allowed to go to school. Stay home, focus on your English, spend time with us, enjoy your life until you have to go to New Zealand." And that's exactly what I did for a couple of months before I had to leave. That's what I did. I focused on English and I focused on spending time with my family and preparing for the trip. I only told about 2 people in my life that I was going to leave. I was so excited about it. I didn't want to shock people because I knew everybody would be shocked, and I also didn't want to get any bad juju from anybody. I didn't want anybody to jinx it, so I just told 2 trusted people, 2 of my friends, and fun fact, we're still friends, and we FaceTime each other all the time. It's actually amazing that I managed to nurture our friendship. We've been friends for so many years, and we're still friends to this day. And it's amazing. It's rare because we live in totally different countries. So I was preparing to leave, and on the day that I was supposed to leave, my mom actually flew with me to Moscow, the capital, and she spent a day with me there in Moscow. And then from then on, I had to travel to Dubai, then Australia, and then New Zealand on my own at 15. And believe me, I was so stressed out that I don't even remember the flight. I have no idea what I did on the flight. I blacked out. That's how stressed out I was, because right then I had to leave and move to another country on my own. I still remember that moment where I had to walk through the security gates, and at that point my mom couldn't go with me to the gate because she wasn't flying, and I put on the brave face, and as soon as I turned the corner, I broke down crying. Like I was so, it brings me memories. I was so sad because I wanted to go, and that was my dream, and I knew that I needed to do that, but it was so hard, and I completely broke down. I completely broke down. I had a cry until I pulled myself together and carried on to my gate. And then everything else after that was a blur. But alhamdulillah, I made it safely to New Zealand. I got picked up by a driver that my agency organized, and then I got taken to a homestay family. And they're very lovely people. I lived for 2.5 years with them, and it was such a blessing to end up in a good family, because I spent those 2.5 years adjusting to the country and finding my way in the country and in the school system, and just getting used to it and adapting to my new life in a totally different country. Then I started as an international student in high school in year 11, and I had to work my bottom off because suddenly everything around me was in English. I had to do maths in English, and I had to write essays in English. My English was pretty good, but it wasn't as good as the locals, of course. And then suddenly I had to work 10 times harder than everyone else around me. Much harder than any of my peers, just because I needed to catch up. And the first 6 months of my life in New Zealand, they were super exciting because everything was so new and exciting, and I was getting used to it, and everything was just so fascinating. But then about 6 months into my stay in New Zealand, that's when I started getting homesick, and I didn't want to go back to Russia. But I started missing my parents. I started missing my friends. I started missing the familiarity that I had over there, and how easy everything was back in Russia with, living my life in my parents' home and just kind of not worrying about anything, because I had to grow up very quickly. And also, a lot of people might, think, oh, what a privilege, your parents paid for everything. Yes, but my parents put their entire life savings on the line. Russian ruble is not that strong, and back then it was better than it is now, but the money is totally different. So my parents literally had to put their life savings, everything they had, into my bright future. So there was a lot of pressure there. I had to make it work, and that I did. Even though I felt so homesick and I really wanted to go and visit them during the summer holidays here in New Zealand, I could spend time with them, I wouldn't bring it up because I knew that we couldn't afford it. We couldn't afford a trip back, even for a little bit. Not at the time. So I put on a brave face and I would say how everything was amazing and exciting. And then I just powered through. Even though I was homesick and I was facing my own challenges and it was very difficult, I had to stuck it out because there was no way back for me. But then a couple of years into my life in New Zealand, I just got used to it, and I really found my home away from home. I felt like I belonged more than I ever did in Russia. So it started looking up. I got into film school, and it's just, it got a bit more colorful. I thought that I knew what I was doing. I got used to the country. I got used to the system, and my English got much better. And then I really found my ground in New Zealand. Alhamdulillah. I became Muslim. I met my husband. As soon as I met my husband, everything just got 10 times better because suddenly I had my person here, my anchor, and I made some really good friends here as well, and we're friends to this day. So even though it was challenging and the transition was very hard, it was worth it. And I would do it all over again if I were to do it all over again. I totally would. Now I've been living in New Zealand for 12 years, and I moved when I was 15. So 3 more years and I would officially be living in New Zealand for half of my life. Alhamdulillah. Inshallah, it happens. I feel at home. I've built a life here. I've built a business here. I have a family. I have kids. Alhamdulillah. It was challenging. It was hard. And I did have doubts. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful that it worked out for the better. So if you have any questions about my move and what it was like for me, I am happy to elaborate on things, but this is my story. Whenever I tell people that I moved from Russia to New Zealand at 15, I get some puzzled and shocked faces. Understandably, I don't know how I would react if my son, let's say, was 15 and told me I want to go move to another country and study overseas. I don't know how I take it. So being a mom now and knowing what my parents had to go through and what they had to do and how they had to work on their own mindset to make sure this was possible for me. Like, Mom, I know you watch my videos. I know it must have been so tough for you. And I'm so grateful. Thank you. You've definitely given me a ticket to a brighter future, and I will forever be grateful for your wisdom and for taking a chance on me and trusting me. Thank you. Anyways, I'm going to wrap up this video now. This is my story. I hope you enjoyed it. It's pretty crazy, but that's how we roll. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave me a thumbs up, comment below, let me know. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch it. I'll catch you later.